Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we got a couple things. If you're a winter lover, got some really good signs to look at, especially from the Midwest points eastward. Right now, if we just go to our North America look here and look at the 500 millibar height anomaly, you can see our pattern, at least for the eastern two-thirds of the United States, points pretty much east of the Rockies. It's a really, really terrible pattern. We have a trough out west, we got blocking on the east coast, you got, I would say, either slightly positive or medium. I really think this is like more mediumly positive, if that's a word, Arctic oscillation and NAO, which once again does not correlate good for the eastern part of the US. But this is going to change very quickly. If we move on, you can see that a ridge starts to die out east, and then the trough out west gets replaced by a ridge out west. So we have really strong blocking by Greenland and northern Canada, which is a very good sign if you want cold air to be blocked down into the eastern part of the US. Also, look at all this ridging and higher than normal heights on the west coast. This is perfect ingredients for colder weather across the eastern part of the United States. And look how much stronger it gets. Look at this monster ridge that you have back in here, back in between Greenland and northern Canada. You look at this spiked ridge out in the west coast, and you've got a really big trough and cutoff flow that comes down and just brings down that cold air. And if we back up a little bit here, the past couple of runs of the GFS, I'll bring it up just to show you. It's significantly backed off. Notice down here you have a really strong hurricane, right? And notice how it would come up. Let me go back to later runs because it had, as you can see, it has much stronger of a hurricane. But if you go back to now, it's pretty much gone because it hits the Yucatan and doesn't, you know, survive the Yucatan. But if you just look at what it had earlier, it had the trough more out west, and it would bring it up the coast into upstate New York. That is an incredible scenario that the GFS was playing out a couple runs ago, but it has since backed off. Let me just go back here. But now it just has a really strong cutoff low, and then it just, this ridge up here, just watch this thing. It just sits here. It just releases the cold air. And then eventually after that, it breaks up. You still have a little bit of blocking back by Alaska and Northwest Canada. But it looks like after that, it goes more into a little bit of a relaxed pattern. I wouldn't hope that we go back to a more zonal flow, if you know what I mean. But I wouldn't be surprised if we do, due to our La Nina being in play this year. But at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a little bit of a break and then going back into this colder pattern across the eastern part of the US. Now, that's just one model run of a global model. And if we go to ensembles, let me just go out to 216 on 18Z because that's all we have out to right now. This is a beautiful pattern across the eastern part of the United States. You have cutoff flow down here. You got a nice ridge out here. You could see a trough just dig straight down into eastern part of the United States. You have blocking up here, ridging out west. You just need a storm to come up. You have a split flow here. You can see you have your southern jet stream down here, and you have your northern jet stream. Let me redo that. And you have your northern jet stream up here. Actually, wait a minute. I am very wrong in that. I'm sorry, guys. You have your northern jet stream right here. It goes straight down. Now, it's just when you're this far out, you can't see if there's a storm or not, but you want to at least get the pattern for a potential chance at a storm. And you definitely do have this. If a low pressure system forms and just goes up the coast with this cold air, yeah, I could see a nice sizable storm possible for the East Coast. Probably more inland because at this time it's still warm. But if we go back to 12Z so we could go out further, you notice, compare it, just if you compare it to run, notice how this block towards Greenland, this is the old run, this is the new run, is more south but weaker. But if you look out west, the ridge out there is stronger. This is the old run, this is the new run, old, new. And if you look at the trough out east, old, new, it is definitely stronger than the old run. But if we were to continue out, you could see, at least on the GFS ensembles, it still wants to have some troughing out east, a little bit of a ridge in the middle part of the country, and then a trough just off the coast. Now, if we go to the European ensembles, just clear all this up and go back to here and then EPS, you could see it has a nice trough out east, and then afterwards, it's you still have blocking up in Canada, which is very good. It's just once you get this far out, obviously, you can't really tell what's going to happen, and that's definitely fair if you give the models. What is this? Almost 2 weeks out. You really can't predict that at all. You rather, I think you have a better chance of winning the lottery than predicting accurately 2 weeks out. Now, quickly, I just want to look at our teleconnections here. If we go to the AO, which, if negative, allows more storminess to happen, more cold air to come down from the Arctic. You could see it's positive now, and it goes to negative, and then it goes back to neutral. Some have them going right back to positive right after this, and then some keep it negative. So that's definitely something to watch at, take a good look at, I should say. And then our NAO, it is going to crash. It is crashing as we speak right now. It is slightly positive, going straight to negative, say 1.5 decibels negative, and then it comes back up. Whether it stays negative or goes back positive is unknown at this time. And then our PNA, which is negative right now, spikes more negative, which I don't agree with this map at the moment. But then, as you can see, some of them go back positive as our big trough comes down into the United States. Now, one last thing I want to take a look at is MJO. MJO, Madden-Julian oscillation, is a big factor. Winter, at least in the eastern part of the United States, you want to stay out of these regions right here. Sometimes 6 is good, but most of the time, I go like that. These are the jackpot zones right here. And as you can see, since October, let's say 29th, we've been in a very good position. It's just 2 to 3 weeks delayed. And as you can see, 2 3 weeks delayed starts our time when our trough is going to come in. So all this is delayed at the moment. This is what we've been in. We've been in 2 3 4 5 6. This is all warm patterns for the eastern part of the US. Now the GFS wants to take it into 2. Well, it wants to take it from 1 to 2 and then back into neutral and spit back out in December, go 1 5 6, right? Now with the European, if this would happen, wants to go to 1 to null, it's staying null. If you're a winter lover across the eastern part of the United States, you want the European to be correct. The European, if correct, would take the MJO out completely and have no factor in our weather. When it's in a null phase, it does not influence our weather at all. So you want this to possibly stay in here and then go right back out into here and sit there. That's your perfect scenario for the eastern part of the United States. But for now, it's between the GFS where it goes null and then spits back out, and then the European goes null and stays in null. That's pretty much it, guys. If we take a look at the regular GFS and what is spit out today, I just want to show you. This is our hurricane that was. Let me just. What's a good view? This is a good view. Now, if we take a look, you can see this is our supposed storm. Sarah, I believe, is the next name. We go back a couple runs, right? It has it into the Yucatan now, right? Go back a few runs. Look at this. You have a 953 storm going into the Yucatan. Next run gone. I mean, that's just models for you. It's just a typical day in the models, and that's why you can't predict 2 weeks out. That stupid stuff always happens all the time. But notice how it takes the remnants into Florida, and then with our storm here, you got a trough. I believe it is turning negatively tilted. Hold on, let me just take a look. Right now it's neutral. You can see it. Let me just move this down so that there you go. Right now it is neutrally tilted, as you can see, and then next frame it is negatively tilted, and it takes our storm. There we go. It takes our storm, instead of taking it out to sea, it goes into the northeast, the remnants of Sarah, if it does form. Now, if you go back to the preset map, you can see it does exactly just that. Instead of kicking it out, it drags it in and possibly gets some snow into interior parts of the eastern part of the U.S. And then after that, you can see you have a clipper system that comes down, and then a little mediocre storm that forms and gives interior northeast snow. And as you can see after that, you would probably have another shot of cold air coming down into the United States. As you can see, it just wants to keep going. If it is correct, of course. Again, this is November 29th after Thanksgiving, so this is 16 days out. This is more than 2 weeks out. Please do not follow it past. 120 hours might be even too much. 6 days. I would play it safe and go past 120 hours, especially with a storm. If there's a storm coming, I would not go past 84 hours. Yeah, 90, 84 hours until probably giving out a snow map if a storm were to come. Just some thought, food for thought. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Winter is certainly coming for the eastern two-thirds of the United States. It just depends if it will play out and give us a storm. That's all that really matters. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful